We are now talking of climate change that is threatening. It's an existential threat to survival of humanity. Why? Because we never thought about sustaining it. Everything on earth has only exists because of an equilibrium position. If that equilibrium position is disrupted or lost, then sustainability is lost. The world, the global climate has resulted into ravages of droughts, floods, excessive heat that is now causing great danger through forest fires. And the question is, how much far can we go? How much more can we go? And when you look at it, at the bottom of lack of sustainability is human greed. It's human greed, nothing else. So when you see a leader overcoming, the greatest challenge humanity has is to overcome greed. When you think about the future, is when then you recognize that that person has overcome the challenge of greed. That is the person who plants a tree today when they are 80, knowing they will never benefit from the shade of that tree. But they know they are trustees of the future generation. This earth doesn't belong to us. I believe the Church of Uganda doesn't belong to us. We are just trustees who are doing what we have to do for the future generations who will be members of the Church of Uganda. And I was really deeply impressed to say, if that is how the leadership of Church of Uganda is, I'm glad I'm a partner to them and a collaborator. And I will strengthen this relationship by coming to say, if nothing else, that I'm proud to associate with that kind of thinking. It's really very futuristic. You are future-proofing the future. You are knowing your responsibility is not for the present. Leadership, great leadership, is not necessarily entangled with the problems of today. Is ensuring there are no problems into the future. Because if problems start today, future generations will not be able to reverse those challenges. And that is why there is extension. And that's why we are where we are in climate. We are unable to reverse the melting of the glaciers. And consequently, the sea water level is rising and carrying out or drowning most of the islands. Now you can imagine all the people who live in islands. And if we continue the same pace in 50 years, there will be very few islands on Earth because the glaciers. And you can see however much we try, we are unable to reverse because the mistake could have been stopped from happening. And so that is what I thought, what great visionary leadership that thinks of sustainability. And that is why I came. But then as I was preparing to come and talk to you, I checked on the Church of Uganda Provincial Strategic Plan, 2016 to 2025. And I then saw your three broad objectives. And I saw the third one. The third one says, promote holistic transformation among communities. The word holistic captured my imagination. Because essentially, one would associate the church with propagating the gospel. But there is enlightenment in this church that you have to go beyond the gospel for you to be successful. And so I could now identify where sustainability is coming from. It's that holistic approach to issues. That the person you preach to is the one who is running away from ignorance, running away from poverty, and running away from disease. And so again, I could see, when I looked at the portfolio of your investments, I saw at that time there were 6 universities from records. His Grace collected me. One has proved not very sustainable. Now we can see what sustainability is. There are now 5. I saw the numerous schools, and I then could understand that this church is founded on a sustainable platform. And then I paid tribute to those who were ahead of us, because I recognized we are just perpetuating a great foundation. And the question then that came to me is, as I looked the 4 focus areas of strategic change, then I recognized how committed you are to sustainability, the socio-economic focus. You know, propagating the gospel, I thought was spiritual. But when you look at socio-economic focus, that is a true test of reality. You are living present times. You have confronted and you have accepted reality. I looked at the 3rd one, community engagement focus. I realized you have recognized that a church can never be complete on its own. We complete each other. And community really completes institutions. And then the institutional development focus. And I liked my colleague partner, the Bible Society. And he says he's praying for us in Kenya for peaceful elections. And I was very privileged that in 2003, I was asked by President Kibaki to lead a team to develop the long-term strategic plan of Kenya and development plan for Kenya. And then when we did it in 5 years, 2007, he said, James, chair the Vision 2030 Delivery Board. So I've served this until 2020. The good thing is the Kenyan economy is 11 times bigger than when we started Vision 2030. And so it related to me, this documentation, that you have a strategic plan and sustainability is embedded on it. Let me assure you that organizations, countries, are sustained by institutions. And I was very impressed observing the institutions in church that really sustain church. Kenya, we were lucky the strategic plan had the new constitutional dispensation. We called it the governance pillar. Unfortunately, and I regret, we prioritized economic agenda, infrastructure, roads, power, electricity before governance. We didn't have a new constitution 2008, 2007. There were no institutions to sustain society. Close to Kibaki's end of term, we realized we had to do it 2013. We gave ourselves the new constitution with very strong institutions of government. Unfortunately, 2017, they were too young. There was infants. They didn't hold very well. We survived. But as you can see now, the institutions are holding the country. Sustainability requires institutions to embed the policies and principles on institutions. It is institutions that sustains and perpetuate ideals that we believe in and that we want. So ideally, I like the way you have built institutions. But the question we have is the strength of building the institution. And maybe that's what I would like to say a couple of words when I looked at the 6 hospitals, looked at the 255 health centers and dispensaries, the 65 universities, the 55 theological colleges, the 20 teacher training colleges, 672 secondary schools, and almost 6,000 primary schools. You have truly built institutions. And I want to commend you and congratulate. And you should be very proud. Because we sustain things through institutions. And so, when the Vice Chancellor talked about, he talked of the best university in Uganda, the only university that produces bishops. What else, Vice Chancellor? And on and on and on. Look, you can see when you create the structures, Chancellor, Vice Chancellor after Vice Chancellor, the institutions continue to grow. But when I looked at these institutions and thought through more, and so the membership, the enrolled membership in those institutions, 3.7 million, I saw the significance and the impact this Church of Uganda has in society. Then I realized the church has gone beyond the gospel and has institutionalized itself. So the big test then started when I started asking myself, and how sustainable is the environment? And I want to say a little bit, when I did a deep dive, I started getting scared. I checked how many schools and universities have been built in the last 5 years. And PS, do you have the number? I saw the rate of building and construction is declining. I don't know, I got it wrong? I'm right. And the question is, if you are not growing, you are dying. You are either growing or, and dying is not an aspect of sustainability. So I thought I would highlight it to you that the momentum of the church is on a decline. And I may be wrong. And I hope I'm wrong. If I'm not wrong, you need to start worrying about sustainability a bit. And then I decided, let me look at the percentage distribution on the Ugandan population. And I saw Church of Uganda in 2002 had 36.7% of the population as Anglicans. 2014, it had come down to 32. PC, what is it today? Again, it's declining. And I then said, decline is not an indicator of sustainability. It's not an indicator of sustainability. Then I asked myself a few more questions and about financial sustainability. That's what I'm good at, financial sustainability. And I saw somehow the church is still over-dependent on donor aid and funding. In 2015, the Provincial Secretariat was 80% dependent on donors. 60 years after, the church is still, and the question is, we are seeing the donors gradually declining. The question is, if the donor funding disappeared, will we still have our secretariat? And if we continue to have it, what would be its shape if it lost 80% of its funding? That question bothered me a little bit. But I was assured that there is a thinking in that strategy we talked about. I saw the need to expand income resource base from 20 to 2015 to 91 by 2025. I realized you need to be sustainable. The only question then I wanted to ask you, I wrote bishops, and with a lot of humility, are you walking the talk? Please, this time I will not ask you. But if we wanted to be fully independent by 2025, we are now 2022. 7 years are gone. Only 3 are remaining to the target date. Where are we? And that is the only, if you are not, I want to believe you are allowed 70. If you are not 70, then I want to really make a wake-up call that we better gain our sustainability. I also saw the target to reduce dependency on foreign donors from 80% 2015 to 10% 2025. So you certainly know what you ought to do. I knew the strategy is perfect. My challenge is, have you executed the strategy, Your Grace? That is the central question. We don't succeed because we have great strategies. We succeed because we execute our strategies. That's it. We walk the talk. And I really want to appeal to you as an Anglican that pursuit of sustainability is not a choice, but is the imperative if the Church of Uganda is we'll pass it over to our grandchildren. I believe we can pass it to our children because we are with them to the church. But to see our grandchildren becoming archbishops and bishops, our sustainability must be our priority. And I think the lighting is on the wall. That is why you have these targets. You have already seen it. The crowds have formed. It will certainly rain. Let's not keep on saying we need an umbrella. Let's buy the what? The umbrella. We said, if we really care about our children, let's plant the tree under whose shade they will sit. That is what leadership is about. Leadership is not doing what benefits you. Leadership is doing what needs to be done by that generation. Our generation has the unique responsibility, the very unique responsibility of acquiring our financial sustainability for our schools, for our hospitals, for our dispensaries, for our governance structures like the provincial, synod, and the others. But let me then leave you with hope. That the world has never been changed by the multitude. The world has only been changed by men and women who find a cause they are willing to die for. If we are willing to pay the ultimate price, then you have the capacity and ability to change the world. Sustainability will come at a price. And the question is, are we willing to pay that price as the current leadership? If we are willing to pay that price, sustainability will come into place. We don't give because we have a lot, but we give because of the generosity of our hearts. I want to appeal to you to find generosity in providing leadership to be able to get where we need to be and to be able to get us to the right place. So I just want to recommend 6 items that, or just make 6 recommendations that can help the church achieve self-sustaining status as it propagates the gospel and future-proof the stability and equilibrium of the church. The first one is leadership and management. Sustainability will not be achieved unless the leadership in this house chooses to deliver sustainability. An institution or our sustainability will be achieved or lost on the quality of leadership and management. No organization has ever been better than its leaders. The sustainability of this church is a mirror reflection of who we are as leaders. That's the naked truth. We don't like confronting it, but an organization can never be better than its leaders. So the level of sustainability will reflect the commitment of the leadership. But I'm convinced that back in 2015, you had confronted this issue. You are very visionary. It's just to execute your vision. And that takes a lot of courage. It's stewardship of resources, as Proverbs 13, verse 23 says. The second one, other than leadership and management, the quality of leadership and management, and what we commit ourselves, and what legacy we want to leave. This is legacy. I want to applaud you because you chose what had never been done in 60 years to do, and you now have church house. Just don't underestimate your capability. You know, sometimes we underestimate our capability. Church house was not a small project. And it's not a small project many years after it has been built. And it will never be a small project. It's a transformative project because once we pay the remaining quota of the funding facility, the amount of money per annum that the church will be getting as an annuity, it will be a perpetual flow of cash to the church. That was a great achievement. Maybe it's more challenging than thinking sustainability because that is physical. And bringing physical is not as easy. So the second one is organization culture. It's not about how great we are. It's about the culture that we build in the church. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. So if you have a great strategy, but you have no organization culture of execution, then every morning, culture eats what? The strategy for breakfast. And then there is nothing for the day for the strategy. So let's build an organization culture as a church, either of execution or doing what needs to develop. I'm suggesting developing a culture that drives serious creativity and innovation, because that's what you need. You need to be innovative. If you do things the way you have been doing, the outcomes will always be the same. I was once told that doing the same things and expecting different results is called what? insanity or madness. I didn't say that, you said it. I just amplified so that everybody could hear. But essentially, we must build a new culture focused on sustainability. A culture that we say, we hold ourselves to this, we are accountable, and will be dependable, because that's who we are. Culture defines the character and personality. The third one is corporate governance. Corporate governance is the structures of holding us to account to what we commit ourselves. There is no need of doing a strategy if we have no intention or the will to execute it. We need to be held to responsibility, to accountability. We are in a position of trust. That trust, we need to account for it, we need to be responsible for it, and that is the governance structure that guarantees delivery. The countries that have made the greatest progress at the moment are the countries that will have very, very strong governance structures of holding people to account. The countries, tell me of a country that is hopeless, and I will show you a country without governance structures. Nobody is held accountable. If nobody is held accountable, is it possible to hold ourselves accountable in church? Or we'll hide under the gospel and say, no, but this is not propagating gospel. We agreed the principle first is right, that it's more than. The fourth one is the business model of our institutions. Most of our institutions were built during the donor era. The donor funding has dried, but we haven't changed the business model. That model was of grants and donations. We were sustained by grants and donations. Donations and grants have disappeared. We can't keep the same business model for our institutions. We must build a new business model that take into account that there are no grants and there are no donations. Once you remove them, then I prayed for you to be innovative and creative. You will find solutions of sustainability in an environment without grants and without donations. But unless you confront that challenge and be bold, because at first you'll be misunderstood. Heavily misunderstood. When you confront, why they're changing the church? Lord, we need to change the church for sustainability, isn't it? So ideally, courage is required. And great courage. You are men of faith and women of faith. I think you need to be bold, courageous, and if you dare more, be audacious. Then you'll be the generation that will put Church of Uganda on the path to sustainability of our institutions. Please don't hide, don't bury your head in sand. The ostrich does it whenever it senses danger, particularly of fire. But does the fire stop because the ostrich has put its head? The threat to the institutions will not disappear because you have refused to confront the problem. So better confront the problem. Be the men and women of courage who will be recorded for your legacy of boldness and courage. The time to change has come. And unfortunately, you are the men and women on the steering wheel. Change before the accident occurs. Of the institutions that you got, but you will be condemned for never handing them over to the next generation. So we are only asking you to pay the price of courage, to rethink and to relook the business model. The good thing, it may be the sequel but it's a game of survival. So it is important and imperative we know the rules of natural justice. It will not disappear. That is what the survival institutions is. Now, the institutions you have are competing with the institutions of private sector. If they are not financially sustained, the death starts by, they are not able to provide the quality that the private sector is. So students start disappearing. Patients start disappearing. So you can see you eventually die. So you better take responsibility to stop death. The alternative that there is the private sector institutions. And they are not for free like you. Then why don't you charge half of their price and sustain? Because you are not building, you are sustaining. You are not charging to make a profit. You are charging to make sustainability and to serve. Those are just suggestions. And I'm suggesting them, Your Grace, as an Anglican. So I will increase my tithing if you make the decision. Because that's what logical members will do. They will rationalize. All that you need to do is to listen with the people. My people perish because of lack of knowledge. Let's call them together. Let's listen to them. Let's empower them with the knowledge, and then we work together with them. I liked what our PS did, this recognizing and acknowledging partners. I want to say the sixth recommendation I would make is building robust value-creating strategic alliances and partnerships. Broad-based coalitions of like-minded partners, whether it's government, whether it's individuals like Right Honorable former Prime Minister, whether it's the private sector. Church House is a symbol of collaboration and partnership. The question is, the church must understand that it exists in context of an environment, and that environment has a lot of people. The question is, can we align interest? Like the way we aligned with Equity. Equity was looking for a headquarters at the right address. You know, we walk tall. There is no, when we now write, we don't say we are in Church House alone. We say Church House opposite Central Bank of Uganda. So the only bank next to Central Bank is only Equity. Now you can see how aligned the interests are. We'll never move out of that address. Forever you have a tenant. Because we align the interest perfectly. Perfect alignment. When we want to draw money from our central bank account, actually we hire a vehicle for 2 minutes. If security is good, you put the money in your socks and you cross over. Actually, you can carry the box as if you are, because, you know, you are not exposed. So ideally the question is, can we align? I saw the alignment with housing finance, the Bible Society, environmentally. That, I really appreciate what I've seen today. Realizing we complete each other. The church, the person it preaches to, and call one of the 12 million members, is what Equity calls its member also. Your followers are my members. They are the members of HF, and they are the members who are being asked not to stop using plastic. It's the same people. Why then can't we take an integrated, holistic approach, if I may add there? An integrated, holistic approach. And that is what will create sustainability, because nobody owns the world alone. We jointly own the world. So we jointly have responsibility to the world and its sustainability. The schools you are providing for, is for the children of my customers. The hospitals you are providing for is for patients, is for my customers when they are unwell. That is how integrated the world is. For the church to recognize that then we have got it right and we are on the path to sustainability, working with others to complete each other, to complement each other, and to support each other. The greatest sustainability is having a common purpose. And Your Grace, I'm really humbled by the church's outreach to society. Let me give you, as I close, the two examples. I joined Equity Building Society then, 28 years ago. It was number 66 out of 66. It was technically insolvent. But I realized one thing, that the customers were looking for value, and me, I was looking for customers. I said, what about if I gave them value that differentiates me from other banks? They see I'm building for the same price, I'm giving greater value. Today, for every 10 accounts that will be opened in Kenya, 7 will be opened in Equity, and the other 43 banks will share the other 3. Don't ask me how they share. We came to Uganda and we were registered as a bank number 24. I'm reliably informed we are now number 5 in just a short period. Simply, it's alignment of interest. Just align interest and everybody will follow you. But that is not as easy. You must ask yourself because it is easier to think of the self. But what about if I thought of you and caused you to think about me? Because that's the inverse. I think about you, and in the process, I make you think about me. We have created a sustainable world. Thank you very much.